All right, here we are. Good morning again, everybody in the Empowered Soul Network. It's a sunny day here in Des Moines, Iowa, and it looks like it's kind of sunny over there in Greenville, South Carolina. Want to welcome my guest this morning, Chris Allaire. Chris is the founder of Averity, which is an award-winning staffing and recruiting national agency. He's been written up in Forbes magazine. They're featured in Fortune 500, right? And it's just wonderful to have you here, Chris, and chat about what you're passionate about and all those things today. Welcome.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate your time.
Great. So tell us a bit more about who you are and what floats your boat. What you're passionate about these days.
Oh boy. So what am I? How to summarize myself? I guess is the challenge. Um, so basically, I'll give you the kind of overall summary. Born and raised in New Hampshire, New England boy growing up. Uh, Diehard Red Sox fan. So always a good thing to have out there. Um, Basically, after big baseball player growing up, after college, found myself in the illustrious career of technology recruiting. Took to it like a duck to water, and I really kind of never looked back. It's been a phenomenal career for me because it's given me the opportunity to really relocate, move all over the country, which has been a lot of fun. So I've worked in Boston, San Francisco, Los Angeles, North Carolina, New York. Sure, there's something else in the middle there that I kind of missed, and then now relocated my family down to South Carolina about 2 years ago, and so here we are. So Averity itself is going on almost 10 years old now. So it was a brain trust of mine. I started it again 10 years ago. I've been in the staffing and recruiting business on a national level for over 25 years, which I hate to say out loud because now it reveals my age. And so does the gray beard. But so it was basically, the reason why I started the company, which a lot of people, it's kind of the story is, after spending many, many years in the staffing business, building companies for other people and building offices for other people. And I've done probably 8 or 9 startups in my career. I just always saw a way to change the business and change the energy and change the way things were done in the industry. And in order to do that, that's the kind of the entrepreneurial instinct is when you see something that can be changed and how to change it for the better, you kind of attack that. And that's what I did. So that's how Averity was started, was to pioneer a change in the business. And so I kicked it off on my dining room table in whatever that year ago, 10 years ago, so 2014. And the fun part about it is so I remember when I was talking about it, kind of putting pen to paper on the idea. And I was like, and I remember the overboard part for me was I had mentioned to my wife, Sandra, who I'm sure many of you know out there as well, that I was thinking about starting my own business. And I'll never forget it because Sandra's response to me was, I think it's about time. And at the time, our oldest daughter, who is now 10, was 6 months old. And that was about as daring, about as risky as you can possibly do. So to have her backing and to really, that was a kind of a key component for me. And I think I always like to share that because, most people's spouses or significant others would talk some sense into them. Like, why don't we talk about this? Maybe we should, think about this a little bit first. Not mine. Mine actually. I was standing on the edge of the cliff, thinking to myself, like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And rather than her kind of pulling me back, being like, "Why don't we talk about it?" She literally just shoved me right off it. It was like, "All right, here you go." So that's a little bit about me and the type of relationship and kind of where I am. And so I started my
Yeah.
laptop on my dining room table 10 years ago, and I've never looked back. So we've been awarded 2 times in a row. In 2022 and in 2023, we've been awarded the best staffing and recruiting company to work for in North America. We are the epitome of a people first culture. I'm a people first manager. And so that's a little bit about the business. I think for me in general, baseball enthusiast, huge Red Sox fan. Very good cook. I like to say I'm a great cook, but I'll be modest and say I'm a very good cook. Um, Entrepreneur. I got a lot of cool projects I like to do. I'm a licensed pilot, um, woodworker, gardener. I dabble on the guitar. Um,
That's
Father,
beautiful.
husband,
Beautiful.
sure, dog lover. Just kind of and I'm a pretty phenomenal son-in-law. Or not.
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah. I can give kudos to all the above. Yes, all the above. I've known Chris, yeah, for quite some time now. And Chris, I got to tell you, one of the things that I admire about you the most is your skills and joy and enthusiasm for engaging people. I know that we've both talked about being gift of gab networkers and so on, but one of the things that I saw that you did that built Averity into a nationally recognized company is your willingness to meet people and meet them where they are, not try and force them to come over where you are. So, can you talk a little bit about how you think about that, what your mindset is about people and engaging them? Because there's a lot of people that are trying to build their business, they're starting at their kitchen table like you did, but they struggle with that piece of going with people. So, could you talk about that a little bit? What are some of the tips for you in engaging people?
Well, first and foremost, I think right off the bat, you have to understand that people are everything. People are the business. Without people, all you have is ideas on napkins. It's really what it comes down to. So, when you have a business idea and when you start to put something out there, the first thing that should come to your mind is, okay, who do I know that I can do this with? And then you start going through, old fashioned the Rolodex, if you will, or your LinkedIn profiles, or you go through your phone, and what you want to do is start looking at people that you know that are going to have skills that can not only match but are going to complement your skills. And that's the key. Anytime you're building together teams, you're hiring somebody, you want to become in business with somebody, is a lot of times you start thinking to yourself like you want somebody just like you, because that's how you're gonna, if you're an entrepreneur and you're that pioneer, you're going out there, you're getting something. I'm going to tell you right now that you want someone with those traits, but you want someone not the same as you. You want someone that can like lock in with you. That's almost the opposite as you, because that's the way you're going to work together really well. It's a whole opposite to track thing. And a lot of us have found this with not only people that we're in business with, but typically your spouse, your significant other, or something like that, is you found that your opposite traits are what make you, a great team together. So when you start to build something, you're going to go through your network. Number one, people that you know. And then ideally what you're trying to do is find people that are going to mesh your skills. The thing I want to say is this: you have no idea until you start talking to people. People have changed. You know what? Someone you knew 5 years ago is not the same person. Someone you knew 10 years ago is not the same person. Sometimes someone you knew 6 months ago is not the same person. You have no idea kind of where they are in the ways of life. So what you want to start doing is just start talking to people about what you're thinking about, and then letting them latch on. So that's the key element, is like I always say is like what you want to put it out there and just see how they react. And if they start reacting in a positive manner, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I like where this is going. And then you can start to maneuver your way around it there. So, but people, businesses, people, your clients are people. Your everything you're doing. I don't care what anyone says with AI and all the other BS that's out there. People are everything. So, it's the that's how businesses are
Yeah,
made.
yeah. One of the things that I found in your stories as I have known you is you have a pretty great portfolio of clients. I mean, people like Disney and NBC and the Wall Street Journal placing people in there for IT projects and so on. And so you're essentially being kind of hired to bring those people there. But yet, I find that the stories you've told me about how CEOs of companies will actually come to you for suggestions or advice for their workforce or what have you. Why do people come towards you to that are presidents and CEOs of multi-million dollar companies or whatever?
because I'm good. So the honestly, I think my what I figured out a long time ago was I'm a really good, just a kind of intuitive business person. So I understand the way businesses operate. It's been just kind of my gift.
Yeah.
So when I always started talking to people, it was never really about needs or checking boxes about three-letter acronyms or taking orders. It was really about what you're building, how you're doing it, who's using it, and then really kind of putting together this puzzle piece on, okay, so if you're doing this and you're doing this, you need someone that can do this. Going back to that idea of like how you mesh teams together. So what I do is I start to get really involved with people's businesses on what you're building, who you're, who's using it, how you're building it, how you're going to launch it, what your go-to-market strategies and these types of things. So I can really understand the way things are done. And then I know how to accurately describe it and market to somebody else. And then when I present people, they've always said like, wow, like the people you present are perfectly in line with exactly what we're doing. And then most of it becomes the way is like, well, I know what you're doing. I know how to describe it. I understand what your business is, what you're doing from a business standpoint. And then I can now relate back to people. So what's happened to me over the years is you just build this reputation on someone that really just, gets it. And so that's how I've, got into NBC is in 2008, I met I was doing a lot of business for Univision actually. And, anyways, I got introduced to the CTO over at NBC and I mentioned what I was doing for Univision. And he's like, I need to meet with you in my office tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I went over there, met with him, and he gave me the entire outline for what they want to do over at NBC, including Telemundo, et cetera, et cetera. And NBC's been a core client of mine, for 15 years. I've probably filled over 200 jobs for them. And that is demonstrated throughout my career with companies like, whether it's the New York Times, American Express, JP Morgan, CBS, massive media companies to some of the largest publishing firms in the world. But I think it's the biggest thing is, again, it's understanding what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and then using the good old common sense and putting it together and and
What's
it's marketing it the right way.
what's the other side of that? Because you're marrying, you're essentially creating a marriage there. So you've got the company awareness. Now you're talking to people that could be potential fits for that. How do you help those people get clear and find their own? How do you take that same thing over to the individual people?
Yeah, gather a lot of information. So first rule of thumb is anytime you're in a situation is you gather information first. That's why we always open up our conversations. It's not about what am I doing or what am I selling. It's about great. What are you looking for? And that's our first question. Whether you're looking for a job, you're looking to hire somebody, great. What are you really looking for? And what we do is we gather information. And then once you've gathered all that information, now you can turn around and say like, wow, I have ideas that I can put in front of you that are going to give you not only what you want, but are going to solve some of the problems that the reason you're looking for a new job, the reason you're leaving your current employer, or whatever it is. I have things out there. I have suggestions that will help you. And I've just been very transparent. I think that's the other biggest thing is like, I don't pull any punches. I don't try to sell it. I don't sell, I tell. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, if you're interested, you're going to be interested for the right reasons. I don't need to convince you to be interested. If you are, cool. If you're not, well, then then no problem. I'm not worried about it. Right. It's not personal.
That
So
that's yeah, that's a huge thing. I don't have to, I hope everybody's listening. I'm personally taking that. I don't have to convince you to be interested. You are or you're not, right? So the thing that I'm thinking about, Chris, is a lot of people that are coaches and mentors and trainers, healers, spiritually guided people who have their offerings and workshops and things like that. What would you say to those kinds of people that are wanting to build their business, overlaying what you just shared about Averity and the connections? How do you overlay that to that person who is just wanting to build that business and be of service to people and so on? What are some of the clues or tips?
Um, Understand what people really need. I think no one's going to be the same. I think it's interesting because I think is no one's going to be the same, but there's always a common denominator that someone is looking for. And what you need to do is start to kind of uncover those pieces and to figure out what's that root core, what's that common denominator. And when you can uncover that, then you have something that you can kind of go into. And so I say is like it's the pit, the seed, if you will, right? You know, everything kind of grows from all the seeds look the same. The environment you give them is what gives you, you know, what the end product looks like. But what you want to do is kind of uncover to a point like what is the ultimate kind of seed, what's the root, and then you have something that you can kind of latch into. And what you'll find out, in my opinion, is that most people have relatively the same common drives, the same common root factors. You know, it's like you can study, if you study human beings enough, or you listen to things, you're always going to understand the same things, right? Because it's no different than like big marketing clauses at the end of the year are always the same things. Why? Because everyone has the same New Year's resolutions every year, all the time, from the dawn of time. What are they? Fitness, your health, money, finances, relationships, or a new job. And lately it's been geared towards, you know, your spiritual, your understanding, kind of faith-based things like that. But it's always the same things all the time. So there's, what do gym memberships do? Offer you ridiculous rates on December 31st because they know you're going to sign up on January 1st. Why? Because on January 1st, I'm going to be healthy. But on December 30th, it's cool if I'm a fat slug. But on January 1st, oh, that changes everything. So anyways, the reason I say that is if you think about things like that, everything has the same kind of root to it. You just got to figure out kind of what the root is, and then you can kind of layer on top of that. Like, all right, so I see where you're going. You know, have you thought about this or something like that? And everybody has something different that they can offer after that.
That's awesome. That it's such a, you know, in some ways, any kind of business, service, any, you know, there is really some down in there, there's a cookie cutter. You know, I got to start somewhere. I got to get my computer out, sit it out at the kitchen table, and start. You know, I've had so many people say, "Don't try and be perfect before you start. Just get it out there because a year from now it's going to morph and be something different." When you find that beautiful engagement of, you know, an employee to an employer, and both, what's it like for you personally when the connection hits? The feelings that you have, their fulfillment, joy. I mean, yay,
It's
hurrah. I mean, what do you
it's
go through when something connects?
it's pretty cool. I think more than anything else, it's fulfilling to find. I mean, there's a couple different ways. Like, number one, it's fulfilling just to like get the job filled. So I'm like, finally filled the job, found the candidate. Woo! The other thing is, I think it's really cool when like Chris, we love Paul. We want to make him the offer, and Paul's like, I love the job, Chris. What's the offer? The offer is X. I'm going to take the job, and you're like, high fives all around. You're like, nice. It's just feeling of gratitude because what you've done is you solved so many like little problems along the way. Like, you know, and you know, looking for a job is an awesome thing. I love it every time, says no one ever, right? So it's a very stressful situation. It's one of those like core 5 elements that are like one of the worst impacts on human emotion. So being able to solve that problem or help someone with ease and transparency and like a really kind of a guided mentor, if you will, along those processes is really just awesome. And then finally get to that delivery stage and solve that problem. And the same thing as a company side. Like they think they know how to hire people. They don't have a clue how to hire people. You know, for, you know, the amount of business that I've done versus the amount of business some of these other people have done is ridiculous. And they think they know what they're doing, but they really don't know what they're doing. So I think there's other, you know, just the gratitude and um, just the cool factor of like, you know, it's awesome to finally like solve all these problems together. I think the best thing is later as products get launched or when you start seeing what's really going on, and then it's like kind of the cool. You're like, I had a hand in that. You know, I can't say all the things I've had a hand in because that would be giving away my business, which I don't do. But I can tell you that most of you either use it, watch it, see it, or all day, every day. And a lot of the core fundamentals on those products have been built by people I've placed there. So I think it's pretty cool sometimes, and when you do it, and it's fun. And then in general, it's kind of fun when it's frustrating. Because human beings are fun and frustrating. Uh,
I'm gonna start looking at the movie credits down there in the bottom. Staffing, Chris Allaire and Averity. Right? I
we,
mean, because
we,
that's what you're saying. I said, I'm watching this thing and I'm going, oh wow, that's a wonderful graphics. What an amazing CGI. Yeah, wow. Chris, thanks, Chris. You know? But
we will never be highlighted in the story, and I have no
right,
problem with
right.
that. We're the
Well,
unsung hero that no one ever talks about.
so what I hear you saying though that is helpful to the listeners here is the viewers, is that it really, when I'm doing what I'm passionate about, which is what you started with the Verity, and I go and I do it and I work it and I keep going and I don't give up and so on. The payoff continues to pay off. It's a gift that keeps on giving because you get to see all that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's yeah.
So all the things that what would you say from the deep down part has been the driving factor in your life? Because you've been a good athlete, start a business, have a great family. What from maybe the time that you were little, I mean, you've told stories about your parents and so on. What's been the underpinning core of what drives you?
Um, I don't know. Part of just to excel, to be the best version or something like that of me, I guess I could say, is like I just have an innate drive that it's almost to my detriment, but good enough isn't there is no such thing as good enough. And like there's always I've reached it and I'm like, awesome, and it was working and it's beautiful. We can make it better. There's more things out there. And even though I've got a board of ideas over here, as even though there's all these other things that are out there, I'm like, I know that there's ways that you can make things better. I know that there's ways that you can make things smarter, that you make things easier. Um, I'm always, it's kind of that chronic entrepreneurial side of it that you're always, I don't know. That's why I'm always thinking.
Yeah,
It's kind of, I hear things and I'm like, I have an idea. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's just either a
yeah.
gift or a curse. I can't decide which one. Um,
So
but
all the things that that's great. All the things that you have shared about today as we start to wrap up here, how has all of that connection and the relationships in business and so on, and I know is a never-ending process of growth at all fronts, but how have you seen this impact your relationships in your whole entire family, your parents, sisters, brothers, your immediate family with Sandra and the girls, and how have you seen that overlay there?
um, communication, understanding. Um, I think the biggest thing understanding is that there's no two people are the same. I think understanding that I'm not perfect. I think understanding that listening is always the key element in communication. But communication is the other big thing. I think the majority of life's problems could be solved with better communication. I also believe that the majority of life's problems are the cause of miscommunication or lack of communication. And if more people just communicated authentically and vulnerably, things would just be better. And that's really what I've learned a lot over the years. And a lot of it's, I happen to have just a phenomenal partner, with Sandra. She's amazing, and she's really driven something out of me that I never really knew I had. And it's really allowed me to open up to be who I am, and what I've turned into because of that. So yeah.
Beautiful. Any closing umbrella words for people out there that are wanting to or are experiencing their empowered soul energy?
Stay at it. You're always going to make mistakes. I think it's fun. I'm on a lot of podcasts these days, and I was on a podcast yesterday, and one of the questions was, if you, I think I'll challenge everyone to this because I think this is an interesting thing, is what's something that you wish you could teach a younger version of yourself? And I think it's something I've really taught myself also, and Sandra definitely knows this as well, is that if you think about all, I start the morning with a meditation, gratitude. And the reason this is going to wrap up quick, I promise.
Yeah, yeah. No, let's
And
go.
there's something within this idea of gratitude. We're typically thankful for all these things that we have. I'm thankful for my coffee, and I'm thankful for Mastercard, and the roof and food and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things out there is I'm thankful for these challenges. I'm thankful for the hard times, because the hard times that we've had, that you will go through and continue to go through, that you've been through, have got you where you are today, right? And that was when I really started thinking about the answer to that, of what is something that I would teach my younger version of myself, was, um, don't worry about how much it hurts today, because tomorrow the pain will go away and you will be stronger and wiser because of it. So what I say to everybody is, failure is good. Failure will get you better. Failure is what makes success. In everything you do, don't worry about it. You will figure it out. And if you know why you're doing it, stick to your why. Know your why, follow through in your why, stick to your why. If you're going to pivot around your why. Don't change your why, because that's the reason why you're doing it in the first place.
That is so awesome. Chris, this has just been so delightful. This is so much fun. How come people get in touch with you? They want to connect with you.
You can find me on LinkedIn. So, which is typically the easiest social media platform. I know we're on Facebook right now, but apparently I need to be on this a lot
Yeah.
more. So company Averity, Averity. Obviously Chris Allaire, Allaire. You can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me. You can message me up there as well. It seems to be a kind of an easy platform for everyone how to find me. So that's probably the best way to go about doing it.
Beautiful. And we'll
If
make
anybody has extra Red Sox tickets that you want to give me, you can find me at a Red Sox game.
yeah, and if you go to Greenville, he will be in the stands.
I will be there. Yes.
Yeah. We'll put all that information in the comments underneath the live stream here when we get done. Saying, Chris, stick around for just a minute. And God, this is great. Appreciate it. Folks out there in Empowered Soul Network, got words of wisdom to get more empowered or be empowered. So take it and adapt it to what you're experiencing and endeavoring to do. A lot of wisdom there, Chris Allaire. Chris, thank you so much. This is
Well,
great.
thanks so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
See you soon.
See y'all later.